So today we will be discussing on a very important and a very interesting subject. It's about the future of lighting technology, trends and opportunities in industrial, office and retail spaces. As we understand, this is about the future and lighting technology. So we would be, let's start with something which we can say is the experience of our distinguished panelists. Before that, I would like to introduce all of them to you. We have Mr. Ayan Sen. He is architect Ayan Sen. Sorry, what's your firm's name? Okay, so he is representing Ayan Sen Architects. Then we have architect Devyani Jaiswal. She's representing DJ Associates. Then we have Neha Jaipuria. She's representing Olive Interiors. We have with us Karishma Mehta Designs, and we have Mr. Amit Pandey from Eveready Lighting. So we have all experts in the domain, and I believe that we would be getting good takeaways from all this discussion. To start us off, I would start with Mr. Sen. How would you think that let's say you have come across some lighting technology in the recent past which made you say, wow, this is the future?
I think lighting technology in principle has come a long way in the last few decades, and last decade particularly with the introduction of LEDs and the knowledge of the temperature of lighting going down the industry at the microest level. I think clients want to understand lighting, and I think most projects lighting has become at least part of its design mandate. So that's, like, to begin with, that's very important for us to even get into that area. I do a little bit of interiors where we largely sense light and put it, but I think the technological understanding and the simulation backbone that a variety of agencies are offering allows the practitioner to use its sensorial abilities with a technical backing, because lighting is something where it's not just knowledge about how much lux or how much wattage, but it also sensorially, how does it feel. But then as architects, I would always fall back upon my feel of a place. As an architect particularly, I think facades and all these aspects are looked at, and the various technologies in terms of the way lighting fixtures can be inserted in the facade and the kind of rays it throws allows us to kind of look at these exterior lighting in a proper way, let alone the number of fixtures and fittings and the wide array of things that are available in India today. I think that sort of sums it up.
So it's about amalgamating the lighting fixtures with the building and not looking at it in isolation.
Yes, and choices for that. I think at one point of time they were just grazers, and today we have multiple ways in which one can use the knowledge of how much light throw is, what a temperature is. I can argue with the client that no, I'm looking at 3000 and not 4000, and I'm not looking at the answer, but at least there is a debate, and that starts a discussion.
Would you like to add something on this?
Other than this, the lighting fixtures, I find this very fascinating. The projection of light on the stressed ceilings, maybe stressed ceiling or a stretched fabrics. It can be exterior, it can be interiors, and I've seen some of the amazing projects like museum in Spain. I'm not able to recall the name right now, but the way they have the entire museum, the way they have portrayed the art, it's about the artist, and the way they have portrayed all around the room and how it travels. So that is very amazing. So this is something in which we have also started incorporating in the retail sector. So this is a different form of lighting, which other than the fixture also can be done.
Neha, would you?
So to add on to what they said, recently I came across something called an OLED. So there's a showroom of Dior in Paris. So what we saw was there's a fluttering pages going all over the space. What was different was the light was very thin, it was fluid, it had different forms. So it excites me of the technology where things are going, that lighting is just not limited to a fixture or just a fixture that's emitting light, but it can be like an installation, and it can be as thin as paper, still emitting light and illuminating the whole store. It really fascinated me, and I did go and study more about how and the technology is going, where we don't see the wires at all, we don't see from where the light is coming. That's really fascinating.
Yeah, that seems to be quite futuristic. What about you, Karishma, if you can share?
So what fascinates me also, I mean, of course there are smart lights, but there is also the technology behind what makes it smart. So, human-centric lighting processes and technology is something that fascinates me, because it kind of follows the pattern of the normal sun and the entire day, as to how they repeat like a sunlight to the evening process in an artificially technological way. So what they do is that they form that pattern, and they make the human body wired to the natural habitant. So this is something that really fascinates me, which is the technology part apart from the smart lights.
See, lighting has come up in a big way. Earlier, if you see initial days, lamps were put under the reflector to give the reflection, and then you have water through and distribution of light. Now we have come to an era where LEDs are used, and it gives you flexibility of using the luminaire in different shapes and sizes, and it can illuminate your indoor, it can cultivate with your interior architecture as well as outdoor architecture. Apart from that, now the future, if you talk to me on the future part, what she was telling is OLED. OLED is something where organic material which combines with the carbon based materials, it gives light when current passes through, and currently it is used only for television and mobiles, because it is too expensive. But LG is already working on it, on the OLED part, so that it becomes much more easily accessible and less expensive. I have seen a product that is again made by LG. It is 100 by 100 mm, giving a light efficacy is somewhere around 90 lumens per watt, and it is less than 1 mm thickness, which is something totally different. And going ahead, future will be definitely OLED, that's for sure. It will give you it can be used in various forms, because it is very thin. It can be bent, it can be twisted, because this OLEDs can be used on the wrappers, it can be used on the plastic foils, and it can be twisted in various forms, and which will give you much more opportunity to illuminate the building, rather than LEDs which has to be pasted on the PCB, that has to be pasted on the aluminum extrusion body, or maybe pressure die cast body. But in this case it is much more thinner, so it will give you a better opportunity to do the interior and outdoor architecture of the building.
Yeah, sure. And that reminds me of certain projects where the lighting per se, I mean, see, it's about human convenience. What has happened is that God has made the day into two parts. One is for working, which is the daytime, and night, which is when we are supposed to sleep. But then for our convenience, we have transformed everything, and we use artificial illumination to perhaps give us some amount of environment to work. When we can or when we try to be close to what the sky is made to be, and using stretch ceilings and such kind of lights definitely has a lot of role into it. Regarding OLED and all, definitely that is another lighting technology which is going to come up in the future for sure. Perhaps there is another thing which comes to my mind, which I would like to add on to this, is it's about the objects which self-illuminate. Often we do not consider them during our illumination process. And I remember recently we completed a museum project, a digital museum with a holographic projection, etc. And the light emittance from the holographic projection itself had a lot of contribution into the illumination of the ambient illumination. So it will depends. It depends upon very case specific kind of thing. But I would like to explore the basics. How do you see the role of lighting evolving in industrial office and retail sectors over the next decade? I think I would like to ask Karishma if you can, say something about it.
So what I would like to add to this is that for me, technology and evolution would come when things like gesture controls, sensors, being able to, communicate with the light and interact with the light would just come with a snip of a finger or maybe just a hand movement. I think that would actually, cause a revolution in lighting and its technology. Also the fact that in retail spaces when, a client is moving closer to that particular, shelving unit, the sensor kind of senses the body temperature and it just brightens up to, just kind of put light onto that particular product and, the shopping experience kind of becomes a different experience altogether.
Okay, so that has a lot of role to play with sensor controls. Neha, if you want to say
For
something.
retail, I kind of envision that probably, the lighting can be more dynamic, which could change and adapt to different seasons, different moods, different weather outside, and also during promotional activities. So I think that would really enhance the buyer's experience. And also I think consumer behavior would also change. It a lot depends on what's outside we bring inside. And the whole dynamic and immersive experience is what I would say.
Well said. Actually, the signages would actually contribute to the immersive experience a lot. If you would like to say something about this.
Yeah, regarding the retail sector, see, it all depends on the product, what products the person is wanting to highlight. The lighting is very subjective to it. So if it's suppose a textile thing, so there you may not be able to play with a lot of colors and all. They need some specific color rendition.
Absolutely.
So that is very important, and the color temperature is also very
Even
important.
in food industry.
Yeah, absolutely. Where the colors are needed to, you need to highlight the colors and all. So in those cases, the standardization is it's required. But yeah, of course, you can maybe you can create some kind of ambience. Just the product is highlighted, and the rest of the thing is little muted. So that can give an additional value to it.
So, if you want to add something to this, the role of lighting.
Nothing much, but I think it's the whole idea that the entire lighting can be technologically driven. I think that's the key here. And I think whenever we are designing, whatever we're designing in retail, I think the use of some degree of automation and some degree of movement, sensor, whatever, is sort of built into the entire process. Particularly there are lighting obviously which is where only a spot is lit up, where the halo is less or the halo, the umbra becomes more. So those are the ways in which even in a blank wall, lighting creates patterns.
Sure.
So that's important.
Amit, you intend to say something, but I would be a little specific with you. If you can, address the evolution in terms of industrial, office and retail sectors and the fundamental differences that you consider while, say, the industrial spaces versus office and retail spaces.
If you talk to me on industrial spaces, it has been in my blood. In fact, I have been from a place where industry is the major, plays a major role in fact. And if you talk about industry, first of all, you need to understand the customer needs, what the customer requires basically. If you talk about owners, if you talk about head of the organizations for any industry, for them, basic requirement is safety of their employees, productivity of the employees, then definitely various government norms to be adhered. We talk about users, what they want. Users, they don't want to reach to that height of 40 meters, 60 meters and change the lights, which is a very unhealthy things and time taking basically. So for them, fit and forget solution means you need a durability and reliability for the product. So whenever you design a product for industrial uses, you need to take care of durability, reliability, safety aspects, as well as you need to take care of the darkness. So in any industry, you need to have there is a government norms that you need to have a 20% emergency lighting, which is very much required. So from Eveready per se, we have come up with luminous, even though it is highway, talk about linears, talk about 2x2, talk about bulbs. All the products, since we are into battery manufacturing, so we have come up with a product with all these products are available with battery backup. So in case of power failure, this luminous directly goes into the battery mode, so that whenever there is a switchover from normal power supply to power off, so this goes into battery mode and it gives you a pathway. I'm not talking about all the luminous get into your power saving mode. You can have out of 100 luminous, you can have 10 luminous. So when this goes into power failure is there, this goes into the backup mode and it shows the pathway for the employees. This assures the safety of the employees. Whereas when you talk about office lighting is much more giving comfort to the employees, because employees sit there for long hours, mostly in BPO centers, mostly in IT. They sit there for long hours, so they need a comfort. So you need to design lights which are glare free. You need to use controls, so that even in BPO center, when the employees work during the night hours, you feel sleepy because your circadian rhythm which works and you feel sleepy. So you need to give much more of a bluish light at that time, so that they are awake. And they give you because BPO centers, they give services to abroad, in US and other places where during the day hours, India it is night. So you need to give products which are having which can give you human-centric lighting. So safety, productivity, aesthetic, because nowadays if you talk about Google and all that, they have a breakout areas where they do all the employees, they sit down, they have a chit chat, and which increases the productivity of the employees. So this type of places also you need to have a solution where different sorts of luminaires are put down on those. And when you talk about retail sector, if you talk to me, it depends much more on the experience of the customer visiting the store. Then your brand visibility. You cannot have one luminaire at one place and different in other. So it has to be all uniform. So experience, then your brand visibility, as well as much more focus on the product. Because whenever any customer walks in, if he is not able to view the product properly, then definitely he comes out without purchasing. So for the retail customers, you need to have much more visibility and your look and feel of the product. So for them, it is much more of the aesthetics of the product, much more look and feel of the product. So in retail sectors, you have to take care of this. You need to have a product which is having different beam angles, maybe 7 degree, maybe 45 degree, based on the retail store requirements. So you have to need to do the lighting accordingly.
So my takeaway would be that the fundamental role of lighting remains the same as it used to be. It is about how we are addressing it through different technology is something which perhaps is something which can be discussed upon. But operational needs, safety, which is ambient lighting, and operational requirement also includes, like for retail spaces, the correct CRI for the space which is applicable, the correct amount of illumination which is applicable.
CRI, if you talk, is somewhere around 100. So if you can come up with a product that is around some 95 CRI, so that it gives you a metal color rendering. That as an Eveready we take care of it, and we have come up with a product with that is 95 CRI, so that it can be much more perceived for retail sectors.
And I mean, this is something which relates with, I'm sure, each of you would be interested in sharing your experience into using lights in different form. So, can you share an experience where an innovative lighting solution solved a significant challenge in one of your projects? And this I would like to ask Neha, if you can share something about this.
So recently we were designing a couture store. The challenges the client had put forward to us was, yes, the colors should come very proper of every garment. Secondly, they were facing an issue earlier in the earlier store was because they had such expensive clothes with harsh and constant lighting, their clothes were starting to fade. So that was also one concern that they wanted to think. And then the challenge that came with us was that we also wanted to have an ambience lighting so that the store looks good and the feel and the user experience is very soothing. We don't want harsh lights. So for that is one challenge. We had 2-3 challenges that we had to meet. To which for the solution what we came up with was we used high CRI level lights, which is 90 and above. So the color rendering was perfect for each garment. We used light which had inbuilt UV filters. So because of the harshness was killed and the light was soft on the clothes, yet illuminating in the perfect places and not creating any shadows. And then we had we designed in layers the light. So we had cove lighting and we had few direct wall washers. So that created a whole drama and the shadow and the light play that we achieved in that store. So yeah, it was quite interesting.
Yeah, Devyani would like to say something on this.
Yeah, so this is a small residence, but it was in Portugal. So the challenge was, the project was handed over with all the ceiling was already done. Only we just had few of as normally they do in Europe, very few lighting points, and we did not wanted to do any those kind of changes to the electrical wiring and all. So for that I got this good brand Davido Gruppi, it's an Italian brand, and they offered us a very good solutions for that. We had a lot of plug points which were on the lower level of the walls. So from there we took the connections and we played with all the loose fittings with the floor lamps, the table lamps, those kind of a thing. But the kind of fitting they offered, those were really amazing. The fitting doesn't take your attention from rest of your ambience. It's just a thin slim wire and which is illuminating the entire space with one piece in the corner.
That sounds very interesting. I would like to have a look at that actually.
One of the product which I could not use rather, that was really good, but they had the steel wire things, so that can be stretched up to 18 meters and you can add on a lot of stuff to it and it can give you indirect soft lighting. So this was a very new technology and I was very happy to use it, and it gave us a excellent result also.
Ayan would like to say something on this.
I think use too much of this futuristic elements necessarily, but I'll just pull back and talk about a conservation project I finished, and to my surprise, I think in that particular project there was no lighting consultant, and I was like most architectural situations, you do the lighting yourself, and passionately I was involved that I am. I think the way lighting can play on a historic building, it's absolutely fantastic. So for me, the way my experience was to actually work with the light and start the working day at about 6 o'clock in the evening, and as the dusk would settle in, I would sort of move around the lighting fixtures with my lighting vendors and then create a myriad of what I want. So this is not any computer simulation, but actually sitting for 6 hours and figuring out the lighting points. And I think that and the temperature, and also I realized one thing that which I didn't realize before, maybe it's common knowledge, but I made multiple scenarios of lighting. I mean, the same building looks differently when it's lit from the top but the inside is switched off, or when there is no facade light but the internal spins out. And lighting as a phenomena in multiple projects that we worked on, I've realized that the form of the building and the lighting that you choose is an extremely integral process. It's only in interior elements and fixtures are important, but I think that marriage between lighting, temperature, the point of the light source, the length of the light source, it all sort of comes together. So I would probably go a little more old-fashioned in that sense, however futuristic it may sound, is to be working with lighting people from 6 o'clock onwards, and you can actually sense what you're doing as a on-field experiment.
I would say that you have, according to me, this is the best path that you have taken, because you know your building much better than your lighting consultant, and you have done it. You have, you have done it on your own, and that is the reason that you could do it the way you wanted to. That was a candid part of it. Amit, if you can share something, and also any project where the latest lighting technology completely transformed the user experience.
There was a project, I would name the customer, where they wanted seamless lighting design, and product should be continuous with different shapes and swarms, along with they wanted tunability and dimmability of the product, and at last they also wanted the same product should have emergency backups. So that was a big challenge. They all put together, everything wo khichdi bana diya bolte, so it was everything put together inside it. So seamless thing, then you have different shapes and sizes, tunability, then you need a battery backup at some of the places. So we did lot of R&D at the back end, and we used our linear lights, which was 4 feet, and these linear lights were placed in different shapes. It was some of the places it was suspended, some of the places it was inside the wall, and it was some of the places it was placed crisscrossed as well. So we used this luminaire, and some of the parts, some of the places we used the tunability, dimmability, as well as we put some of the battery backup luminaires in between, so that they have all put together in that area. And at last the customer was so happy that not only that project, we were able to do somewhere around 1 lakh square feet area of the customer for at least we have done 3 odd projects for the customer, and they have appreciated and referred to other people as well.
So like all other projects, it was customer driven pressure, which in turn worked out well for you.
Yes.
So in that case, if we talk about the trends and innovations, what are some cutting edge lighting technologies that you think will become the mainstream in the next few years, according to you, and how are the advancements of smart lighting and IoT impacting your approach in the lighting design in different sectors?
If you talk about cutting edge lighting technologies, best way is that daylight harvesting, because any light you are putting it inside, so you are ultimately using lots of energy, and you are wasting the energy basically. If you are able to utilize the sunlight properly, then it can be a game changer for the building, and even it takes care of the IGBC norms. So whenever you are able to place luminaires with your daylight sensors, which senses the daylight, and it illuminates the luminaire as per the requirement of the building, then definitely that takes care of the safety as well as aesthetic of the architectural of the building, aesthetics of the building. So best way is to go with the future. If you talk to me on the future is about controls, which will take care of the building illumination properly, whether it is inside or maybe outside of it.
So you mean to say, do not light up at all, rather use the sun And
better way to do
that
it.
is the best way to do it. And I remember about one project of ours in a garment industry which required a needle point illumination of around say 1200 lux, and that was achieved through light pipes instead of any artificial lighting. So yeah, sure. I mean, smart lighting and IoT also have a lot of significant, impact and approach to the lighting designs. So, Karishma, if you have experienced something on this and if you'd like to contribute.
So for me, cutting edge lighting would again, I would come down to technology again, where I would like to kind of, recently we completed a project which was a restaurant, and the same project would look different during the day and would look very different during the night. And how we could achieve that was by using the utmost sunlight that we could bring in. So we used a lot of reflected, retractable ceilings so that we could bring in a lot of natural light during the day and not use a single artificial light during the day. But obviously at night we had to illuminate the space. So with the help of automation and controls, we made the same space look completely different. So when the clients and the customers would come in during the day and at night, they would really wonder that would they actually visit the same place or not. So I think that's how we achieved it, by controls and natural light.
Anything about smart lighting, because I believe you have been doing a lot of residential projects as well. So IoT, smart lighting into that sector perhaps?
Yeah, for residences, the client's needs was that the light adapts to their lifestyle. And I think tunability is one good solution that is, I think, should become like a standardized thing, I think, in coming future, because it really helps and give the clients with the smart lighting, it becomes so easy to change. They're not restricted to one particular light, and every member has a different requirement, different body rhythms, and they want the light accordingly. So at time when they're high task, when they're exercising, they're doing work, or they're in the kitchen, they want good nice light, so they get it. And during the evening when they want those cooler lights and a warm feeling, you want your body rhythm to be like, you want to just chill, so the light adapts to that. And to nice thing, we added automation to that, so different scenes were set to that. So not every day they have to keep. So once they know what they like, so in the evening they can time it, and after a certain point of time, the scene changes and the body, the home adapts to their liking, and it's like their space.
I'll share a flip side to this. In one of our projects, we had experienced this out of inexperience perhaps, is placement of the sensors in the correct position is a very important part. And it was all glass wall everywhere, and there were series of cabins in one of it was an office project, and it happened so that whenever a person is walking through the corridor, the lights used to get illuminated. So this was something which we get to learn gradually, and of course, that is not the defeat of technology or the flip side of it. It's just that we need to use technology in the correct manner. Devyani, would you like to add something on this?
See, about the projects, I think what they have said, those are the things normally they implement. But I think now the latest technology which is going to be is the Li-Fi, which a lot of cities have also started implementing. So lights are the existing lights, if they are LED based, those are used for data transmission. And again, it's again helpful in a way, like as you mentioned about if it's on the street, so it can sense like whether it's a pedestrian or whether it's a cyclist or if it's a motor vehicle. So accordingly, it can reduce or increase the lumen. So for the street lighting, you don't have to keep it on throughout the night. So something like this kind of a technology is going to get used in various ways in the future, I feel.
Do you have some experience on this? Would you like
Not
to share?
experience, but maybe an insight that I think when you just picking up on Devyani's thought on lighting in the public realm, I think that the future of India in terms of streets and public squares is public lighting. And I think that while we are at one level talking about our private spaces, municipalities with sufficient spending, when they're looking at security and when they're looking at nightlife and they're looking at pedestrian friendly urban spaces, I think not only our Class A cities, but Class B, Class C, Class D, all Indian cities and towns, they have amazing opportunities of lighting their more prominent spaces to at least begin with. And I think there is such a large market out there that if we can figure out methods in which we don't only have to light up our Kartavya Path, we don't have to only light up, and that also I think in many cities there are so many areas that can have just simple lighting to light up what you want and with Li-Fi, and which kind of then makes it not only smart, energy efficient, and you'll have a very different notion of the city. How much to light is also an important thing. It's not overlighting environmentally sensitive spaces where habitat is, but I think this collective understanding of public realm lighting with Li-Fi and other technology is a huge opportunity and a huge market, which is not as much explored as much as it should be.
Very true, and especially where you have a dense population. Perhaps it is because of the region that we are living in, and maybe we have limitations in terms of use of technology, but then just consider the fact that the large amount of population who is moving around on the streets, on the pavements, and we are wasting the piezoelectricity, which the potential piezoelectricity which could have been transformed and used for lighting up the public squares or something like that, of that sort. But the issue is that that is very expensive for this kind of it's perhaps the future, but then it's not yet achievable, perhaps because of the costs and other factors. Coming to more technical and practical aspects of it, what are some of the innovative approaches to energy efficiency in lighting that you are excited about, and how do you consider that lighting technology integrates seamlessly with the overall design and functionality of a space? Amit?
Basically when we talk about innovativeness in lighting, just we were talking about the outdoor lighting, just maybe he was talking about on the outdoor lighting. What happens that people, while doing the outdoor lighting, they forget that they only think about lighting level is required, and they over illuminate the area instead of doing the adequate lighting level. And even though during the off-peak hours, the lux level is required 30, they go with the lux level 50, what is there in Calcutta if you talked about. So you need to come up with the products which are which will be 100% on during the peak hours. It goes down to 30%, maybe at 12 o'clock, 1 o'clock, then 3 o'clock again it goes to another 30%, maybe 10% on dimming, and then it glows in the morning for 100% and goes down. So those are the solutions which can be added for the outdoor lighting. And if you talk about indoor lighting, definitely your controls is will play a major role, where you can mix both the products and the controls, and you can get a better lighting level, adequate lighting level, to make it more aesthetic, more walkable situations. And when Li-Fi is one thing what we were talking about. In Li-Fi, definitely it is costly as of now, but it is definitely going to give a futuristic outlook, where it can reach up to any corners of the places, and we did not have a situation where your mobile is not working or laptop is not working. You will have Wi-Fi at any corners and at a very high speed, which is not possible with current data. So this light will only give you the not only give you the light, it will also give you the Wi-Fi. Data transmissions will happen. So this will be the future, definitely.
Provided your local cable operator doesn't cut off, snap off the fiber connections. I'm sure as designers and architects you would have definitely implemented innovative approaches in your designs as well. So if you can share something, starting with Ayan.
I think in the broad range of the practice, as we have built a couple of projects every year, I think the craftiness of lighting is important. I remember working on the Ibiza Resort, an earlier project with the Thai landscape architects and principal architects conceptualizing this from Bangkok. But when it came to micro designing and taking it up in the local aspect, I think forms and form lighting was very important. Landscape lighting was very important, and I think what I mean by the importance of that is pathway lighting and how much. So when you're doing a resort, it's only what you want to light up, not light up the entire space, and that kind of creates a myriad of facilities and a way in which landscape is lit up. So that kind of then creates a very different kind of lighting approach. So landscape and open space lighting I probably experienced firsthand, and as I shared with you earlier, I am kind of like to work with lighting real time. I would sense it right, I would get my lighting vendors to help me either physically or now simulation. In most of the projects recently we've done over the years, I think every building has a particular design language, whether it's a canopy which is becoming a trend in my own work, or whether as screens or louvers. I think then what you need to do is, as a design practice, feel the need of highlighting that part, because you light when the sun goes down, and the building starts looking very different when the architectural elements are lit up. And I think I found a little bit of success in some of the transformation projects we're working on, where the client comes to us and comes with a dated building, not necessarily a high quality conservation project, but just a dated building, and say that we don't have the wherewithal to bring this building down, but we would like to transform this building, which is initially upscaling a building or sort of making sure that with green systems and green energy, there is a whole trend of transformation. And in this whole case of transformation, the facade needs to get transformed as a prima facie element. And I find that lighting becomes a huge tool, because this building typically has been always a very dirty, dark, dingy building nobody noticed. But now that largely you would do the facade largely to create a presence for the building, subjective lighting becomes a critical piece. So then you would light that, and then I would feel very good that something beautiful is happening. And again, looking at the temperature, looking at the length of the halo, all these things, I would still feel that with the various softwares that are available, that can only give me so much. I mean, I do that, my team would do that, but I would finally come and then sometimes actually redo it on site.
So it's more of an intuitive approach that you would like.
Yeah, I think architecture as a design practice, I am with all the theory that I claim to know, I think I actually throw it away when it comes to designing. And when I design, I would, and I'm sure it's there with many of my friends and colleagues, that will ultimately hit the site and feel that. And it's been a happy practice largely to see lighting. Some of the city's credible projects like transformation of the Bhavani Food Education Society, or currently working on the Birla School, Bengal Rowing Club, and to name a few of the projects which probably has made its presence felt, is largely because when you do a good building, why don't you show it off in the right way, instead of making too much of a jest out of it, but at least to, and of course branding that building. I think we forget that we want to brand our buildings, our cities, our spaces, and as much as you would like to subtly light your internal spaces. I mean, I'd let others speak, but I think lighting is not a separate subject to me. It's an integral part of your form making design exercise. Even if you make a block, and I'm working today on a crematorium project, which is going to be the a very signature green piece of architecture, which is going to probably celebrate life. You celebrate life in a crematorium, actually. It's the whole journey of life. So I think, and this is obviously a 24-hour facility. You don't want to make, currently you have, or anyway you're mentally disturbed in such a space. How do you sort of then make it sober? And that's my current exploration. So as you're talking, as the panel goes on, in back of my mind, I'm always constantly thinking that how much you light it up and what do you light up. And I guess that's the story of life. Thank you.
Devyani, if you want to say something.
See, some of the challenges we faced, like two of my project very recently. One was it's an apartment in Atmosphere, which is a very premium building here. But somehow when you like step out of your lift, you don't see any exterior lighting there. There's no exterior source of light there. So that doesn't give you a very, and all the time you see that artificial something illumination, you don't like it. So for that we went with the stress ceiling there, and we made it tunable and dimmable, and then throughout the day like it keeps happening, like and with the sensors also, definitely we have with the motion sensors. So that was one thing, and similar thing happened on one of this we recently converted this Jamuna Cinema, it's a very property which is nearby, into a showroom. That similarly we faced the challenge. Both the floors, it did not have any of the exterior source of light. So again we created, like on the top floor, which was the seating space for the theatre, we converted into different levels, and then we had different departments of the stores there. And there on the ceiling again we created something very similar, but here we did with the projectors. So that is giving a partial illumination, and you get a feeling as if there is some exterior and you're connected to the outdoors.
Neha, your projects and
So one of the things is that we'll be making a gaming room for one of the kids, and I'm really fascinated of how the lighting have been integrated, the RGB lights have been integrated with the sound systems, and how the lights keep changing depending on the sounds that they are having. So that's a very nice integration and how technology has changed. Also one thing is I'm really fascinated where I cannot see the light source but still the place is illuminated. So yeah, I did come across one of those lights from IWB where the light is just like small, like a dot, and one dot illuminates a space of around 25-30 square feet. So probably 5 dots probably which you will not even see can be illuminating a room. That's quite fascinating.
Karishma, if you want to add just a few words on this.
Yes, so I agree with Neha, where she mentioned that the source of light should not be visible. So as an interior designer, I would love to integrate lights that wouldn't show the source, but it would still illuminate a space perfectly and give me that exact that if there is like a art piece that I want to highlight, it would still give me that effect and highlight it in the perfect way, but still not show the source of light. So that's the thing that we actually look out for as designers.
Okay, so we are racing against time. So I would like to ask you a few forward-looking questions. How do you think the trend towards sustainability and green building practices is shaping the future of lighting technology? And what future lighting innovations do you think will have the biggest impact on the well-being and productivity of the occupants in office and retail environments? So I'm sure I would just be specific if any one of you would like to address this.
I think solar lights are already in place for energy efficient, but I think they're mostly used for outdoors currently, where the line grids are not there. But apart from that, as I began with, OLED is something what I'm already looking for. I understand that the technology is expensive, but as widely it will start, and that goes for all technology, how often and how much in production, the cost will eventually come down. But it does give a feasibility and flexibility to designers to design. Yet since we are conscious that our carbon footprints are low because it's using carbon and very low on energy. Apart from them, there another like micro LED. So those LEDs are really small, high performing, uses less electricity. So that is also one thing that is existing.
Karishma, two pieces on this.
So again, solar panels to be used for most buildings so that the common areas of those buildings could have lights that could be switched on when needed. I've seen a lot of buildings that have lights in the common areas that are just switched on all the times due to negligence. And I feel with the help of solar lights, that could just help us to reduce the amount of wastage that comes in. And also again with welfare and well-being of the employees at maybe say offices, I feel again I get back to human-centric lighting, where where we can tune the lights based on the day. So how during the morning we are at the most energetic form, so we have like the brighter light, and towards the evening the light becomes much warmer to kind of instill that relaxation in the body, and still have that effect with sensors and with tunable lights.
Using circadian rhythm and integrating that in the lighting illumination of the space. Perhaps there is one thing which is coming to my mind, and I'm unable to stop myself. We find humans to be very selfish. We are always whatever we are thinking are hovering around our needs, our use, etc. But then we have to be mindful for the other living beings. Say for instance the birds. When we design a landscape, we should be mindful about their lives. So night life of the birds. We should be mindful about the over illumination process which we perhaps accidentally do, and that can also in turn reduce in terms of the energy efficiency. We will be definitely gaining a lot. So coming to the basics, it's about the 3 R's which we had learned in our college: reduce, reuse and recycle. So this is how it comes to be. To wrap it up, just each one of you, if you can share in 2 words your takeaway from this discussion, starting with Ayan.
I think lighting is something that has become integral to our mainstream work, and I think everybody's connected with it, sensorially connected, actually connected, and talking about technology. It's absolutely a part of a design process in whichever scale, in whichever sector you are in. So we cannot ignore it anymore, and I think that's a good news. And I think it's constantly changing as we speak. I mean, you're talking about so many futuristic technologies. So I feel that that's important, and I think that would help us to share that knowledge across all platforms. I mean, this whole this conversation is to sort of go beyond, and I think that will be great for everybody to learn from that quick ones.
So I feel for all the architects and designers, this is a big challenge. The technology is evolving day-to-day basis, so we need to keep ourselves updated, and then only we'll be able to offer some good solutions to our clients.
To sum the whole thing, I really take away that over illumination is something that we need to be mindful of, and yes, staying abreast with the technology that is there current. So how do we use the light? And also lighting should not be like an afterthought which it used to be initially. It should be well integrated in the project from the start of the conceptualization.
Sure, Karishma.
As a young designer, and also to the younger designers who are younger than me, I just feel that awareness is something that we all should be mindful of. Awareness of using the right kind of products and the right quantity of products, and always seeking help from the consultants who have the correct knowledge, and using the correct brands, and making sure that we don't again over illuminate the space, and at the same time don't under illuminate it as well, is what I take away from the session.
Lighting has gone in going up in a very speed manner. We have the best part. What can be done is that you catch up with the speed, get more knowledge about what is happening nowadays, use controls, use proper way of illumination, so that over lighting is empowered, and you get better lighting, adequate lighting level with taking care of the safety, security, and human-centric lighting of the spaces basically.
So thank you all, and I think this was a very insightful discussion, and I did have a lot of takeaway from this in terms of sustainability, in terms of human-centric lighting, in terms of amalgamating lighting with the design throughout the process since its inception. So definitely it was very enriching, and thank you all once again for contributing on this particular discussion. Thank you.
Thank you for having us.